Hello. Today we will be doing a poem by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. Dickinson is a 19th century American poet. Some would argue, and I would agree, that she is one of our most important poets as well as one of our greatest intellectuals. She is still proving herself to be relevant in our society. There's a lot of eco-criticism being written today about Emily Dickinson's poetry. I would suggest going back and rereading her poetry, her nature poetry. A third of her poems, a third of her 1,800 or so poems, are written about nature. And so there's been a movement afoot, if you will, in the literary world to re-examine her poetry through the Green Movement, through eco-criticism. I would suggest that those that find her no longer relevant to do so. Also, I think that there's the questions, the essential questions that she raises about existence, about truth, are more relevant today than ever, since both these existential questions and these examinations of truth have been dismissed in some of our conversations, current conversations in politics, if you will. I think that we still need to read Dickinson for a number of reasons, and hopefully people will continue to do so. But let us now go to the poem. On the left-hand side, you have the poem. On the right-hand side, you have the literary terms. Of course, there's more going on in the poem than I will address today. This is just kind of a quick walkthrough, if you will. And those are some of the terms that I will mention, and I'm certain I will mention some terms that are not listed there as well once I start talking. Well, let us now hear the poem. I heard a fly buzz when I died. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry. The breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was, there interposed a fly. With blue uncertain stumbling buzz between light and me. And then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see. There we go. The first salient stylistic features that one notices in Dickinson's poetry is the irregular capitalization and the uses of dashes. The capitalization is to draw our eye to that word, to elevate that word, connect the grouping of capitalized words together in some way in the poem. And we'll see how Dickinson does that in this poem. The dashes are to create pauses. One of the literary terms is the caesur. A caesur is a break between words within a metrical foot, a pause near the middle of a line. Dickinson likes to use the dashes for an extended pause. Also, she likes to do it to set off a word or phrase or an idea, so we linger with that a little bit longer, or we look at that as isolated. And we'll see how the pause in the last stanza, and me, the dash right before and me, isolates that person that has just died, alone, waiting there for the onset of the king, and a fly comes in. All right, but so we notice that the dashes as well as the capitalization. Now, Dickinson typically writes in quatrains, and that's the first literary terms, 4 lines of poetry, and she usually writes in the iambic tetrameter or trimeter, so tetrameter 4 feet per line, or trimeter 3 feet per line. And with the iambic, it has that unstressed and stressed syllabic pattern in verse in the poem. Do not go gentle into that good night by Dylan Thomas. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day by Shakespeare? Or I heard a fly buzz. The eyes around had wrung them dry. The eyes around had wrung them dry. And so you see that on that right hand side. You see I have the stress syllables capitalized in bold, and so that's your typical iambic meter. The eyes around had wrung them dry. Now, you notice that underneath that iambic I have Dickinson's first line of the poem, I heard a fly buzz when I died. Fly buzz, we have two stressed syllables. So Dickinson made a choice, a poetic choice, not to use iambic in that first line, and to have two stressed words next to each other, which elevates fly buzz. Okay, and grammatically, or it should be, I heard a fly buzzing when I died, and then we would have that iambic pattern. But Dickinson made a poetic choice, and fly buzz elevates that. But that at this momentous occasion, there's a fly buzzing. Also, the dash in the first line sets off the person dying and a fly buzzing. You have this profound experience, death, next to some mundane experience, fly buzzing. All right. So I heard a fly buzz when I died. It's interesting. I'm not going to say too much about the idea of the fly, and the fly feasts on the decay of vegetables, the decay of meat, the decay of humans, if you will. So the fly is there to. The king didn't come in. The fly did, and the fly sees, there's a feast here for me. I heard a fly buzz, and fly is capitalized. We know it doesn't need to be capitalized grammatically, but it elevates the role of the fly in this poem. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. Now, wonderful. Notice the word stillness used twice there, both times capitalized. Dickinson really wants us to hear the stillness. Oxymoronic, right? Paradoxical. Hear stillness. Hear the silence of the room, right? So there's the stillness in the room. And we have the word room is used in this stanza as well as in the next stanza, both times capitalized. So we have we're in this room. It's so still. How still is it? Well, the poet feels to emphasize this by capitalizing the word stillness. Between the heaves of the storm. So we're in the eye of the storm, if you will. We're in the eye of the hurricane. Between the thunder and the lightning, there sits the speaker of the poem who has just died. Now, we can't just dismiss that first line, I heard a fly buzz when I died. So the speaker is speaking to us from the grave. Dickinson's not the first person to do this. Other poets have had the voice from beyond. But here we have Dickinson do that, has the person dying the first line, and then starts recounting what happened, what led up to that moment. There was a stillness. There was a stillness in the air between the heaves of the storm. That quietness between the thunder and the lightning, if you will, at that split second, that kind of stillness. And I once again I think of the poet or the speaker here in between those two heaves of the storm, listening to the stillness of the room, waiting for the onset, waiting for the voice to say, this is what happens after. This is what follows death. So we're sitting there waiting. I also like the use of slant rhymes here. Room, storm. And the slant rhyme is used in this first stanza as room, storm, firm, room. They're not exact rhymes, but it connects those ideas that here in this room, in this final room, there's a storm. Okay, there's a storm. And that storm is the could be the throes of death. The throes of death, the body writhing, fighting death, if you will. Okay. All right. Going to the second stanza once again, quatrain. The eyes around dash had wrung them dry. So the eyes, nice use of metonymy, the use that all the people, not just the eyes, but the people have cried. That reference to eyes is that the person, that everybody, all the mourners have cried. They've wrung their eyes dry, and breaths were gathering firm. That kind of for that last onset. We're waiting. Pause. See the dash there in that third line of the second stanza. When the king be witnessed. And it's not when the king arrives, but when the king be witnessed. So all the mourners are standing around witnessing, wanting to bear witness to the arrival of the king. In that room, once again, the room is capitalized. In the room, they're waiting there for that last onset. That last, the person, the speaker dies, that last heave of the storm, and then the king, be witnessed, comes into the room. And so we have, slightly out of order, you'd think that the next stanza we have I willed away my keepsakes. I willed my keepsakes away. You would think that would be that would have been the right after the first line, where the first process of the dying would be of setting up the death would be, I willed away everything that was assignable. But Dickinson doesn't do that in chronological order. But the speaker, Dickinson, describes the stillness of the room, the waiting, the quietness. All the eyes have done. No one's no longer sobbing. Everybody's holding their breath, and they're waiting for the king to come in. And then instead of saying like this is what happened, we have kind of another digression. Delaying what's going to happen, delaying. Oh, what is the king going to look like? Oh, what's going to happen? Is it going to be a white light? Is it going to be music? Is there going to be some perfumed air? We're waiting to see what happens at that last onset when the king be witnessed. So I willed away my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me assignable. And so maybe Dickinson has the idea that, oh, this is because the king's coming in, and I've already taken care of everything, and the speaker now realizes, I've given away everything, all that could be signed away. What portion of me be assignable? My clothes, my poems. She wanted her poems to be destroyed. Fortunately, her sister did not destroy the poems. So we have her poems. I willed away all her keepsakes, except that one portion that's not assignable. The soul, possibly? The soul? And so that wasn't assignable because that was what's going to be assigned to the king when the king came in. The king will enter and take that which is not assignable. The soul. And so we're at that dash. What portion of me be assignable has been signed away. All that's left is the body and the soul. And then it was, there interposed a fly. So, I mean, think about that. At this moment where the last onset, the king's supposed to enter into the room, a fly comes in. I'm not going to say that Dickinson is arguing that the fly is God. No. But there might not be anything other than the fly to claim the body, to claim that which is going to now decay, right? So we have the fly interposed. And there might be something beyond the fly, but at this most profound moment, we have the fly get between the king entering and the eyes failing. So let's go to the next stanza. With blue uncertain. That's such an important word, uncertain, stumbling. Buzz. So there's an uncertainty about what's going to happen after death. There's an uncertainty. Here the speaker is uncertain about what's going to happen after they've died. What are they going to see that moment right after? This is what happened. Here the last literary term I have is the synesthesia. With blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz, that mixing of the senses. One of my favorite examples of synesthesia is in The Great Gatsby, yellow cocktail music. It's when we see colors, we see smells, we taste words, if you will. So we have a nice use of synesthesia here. With blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz. Now buzz is capitalized. We have in the first line of the poem we have buzz, not capitalized. And it's gone from I heard a fly, buzz, and now we have stumbling buzz, and we capitalize, and instead of hearing the voice of the king, hearing the voice of the incoming knowledge of what happens after life, we hear a buzz between the light and me. Now notice how I mentioned earlier that the and me in this stanza is set off. The speaker is isolated, and me. And so we have the speaker and me trying to see, but the buzzing bee is in between them and the king, possibly the light, possibly. Between light and me is this buzzing bee. This buzzing fly. Excuse me, buzzing fly. I also think there's a nice. People say, well, "What's the importance of rhyme?" Sometimes rhyme, and this is important. Rhyme can help create tone, playful, innocent. It might give it a kind of a nursery rhyme. It might pick up the pace of the poem. Absolutely. Think of alternating rhymes and how that might pick up the pace. Also, rhyme is used to suggest a connection between ideas or things or objects in the poem. And here we have a slant rhyme. Dickinson is known for her slant rhymes. I mentioned room and storm. It's slightly off. It's not perfect. But here we have the slant rhyme between, say, interposed a fly and me. So there's a connection between the speaker and that fly. Okay? A more profound, if you will, more intimate, if you will, connection between the fly and me. There interposed a fly with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz. Not sure what we can make of this buzzing I'm hearing. I don't know what's coming in here. This incoming buzz is not a language I understand. It's not the voice of God. It's not the choir of angels. There's an uncertainty here with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between light and me. Once again, the speaker set off by themselves. And then the windows failed. Windows, nice metaphor, capitalized. Windows, the eyes failed. And then I could not see to see. Here, before I talk about that last line, stanza 3, third line, and then it was. Stanza 4, the second to last line, and then the windows. And in that same line, and then. Notice the repetition of and then, and then, and then. The speaker of the poem, Dickinson, is trying to bring us, and then I, and then I, and then I could not see to see. That I could not see. My eyes failed, the windows failed. To see. And not just to see, but to understand. To understand what happens next. What is the moment after life? Does the king come in and claim that which is unassignable to other humans and claims the soul? Or are we just a piece of decay now? And the fly has come in to claim that body. So there's the punctuation. Notice there's not one full stop in the poem, and I think it's because the speaker of the poem is at this profound moment. Life is coming to an end, and what is coming to the other side of what's on the other side of this? Is it going to be eternity, which is much different than immortality, which those are ideas that Dickinson likes to write about and compare and contrast, the difference between eternity and immortality. But there's no full stop. There's no aha. It ends with a dash again. I could not see. I could not understand to see what comes next. I could not see. I no longer had sight to understand. So nice use of kind of a chiasmus there. See to understand and see to see. To bear witness. And so we have the fly being capitalized. We have the fly stumbling buzz, and the speaker left with uncertainty, not being able to understand. Though this was written in the 19th century, these questions, these existential questions, still persist today. Still are important for us to contemplate today, as we go through our modern existence, if you will. All right. Well, I hope you took a few things, got a few ideas about Dickinson's poetry, and you'll go and read more of her poetry, and see how powerful a poet she is, and how relevant she still is in our society. Once again, check out her nature poems, and look at it through the lens of the green movement or the eco criticism. Thank you. I will be doing another Dickinson poem in the near future. So have a good day.